First story that we got for all y'all.
All right.
Jimmy Fallon apologizes for resurfaced blackface 2000 SNL skit. My first instinct and my first thought is, why? And who cares? Jimmy Fallon is basically apologizing for being a comedian, which he should have done a long time ago, but fine. They say Jimmy Fallon apologized on Tuesday after a Saturday Night Live skit that aired 20 years ago resurfaced, featuring him appearing in blackface to impersonate fellow former SNL cast member Chris Rock. The video made the rounds on social media over Memorial Day holiday weekend, sending the hashtag Jimmy Fallon is over party trending by Tuesday morning. Fallon, now the host of NBC's The Tonight Show, took to Twitter to apologize for the skit, calling his impersonation of Rock while in blackface a terrible decision, an unquestionably offensive decision, yet one that no one cared about for 20 years, and certainly no one cares about now. They're just pretending. And you know what? If you want to apologize because you are on SNL and every single person on SNL was okay with it and went along with it, fine. How about the rest of them come out and apologize too? How about Lorne Michaels and NBC and all of those people come out and apologize? Bro, are we going to have are we going to have to get like the estates of old comedians in the 20s to come out and apologize?
Yes.
I can't believe the jokes they made back then.
That's the number one requirement for being a Karen. You have to be offended for other people.
Yep, exactly.
I'm offended that you did something that will offend someone else, so I'm fighting for all those people. I don't know any of them, but I'm going to fight. Shut up.
It's like they want...
So sick of it.
They want to enforce rules. That's what it is.
Yep, I want some power.
It doesn't matter what the rule is. It's like, I'm going to tell you what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And here's what they say. While the full sketch is not available on NBC's online platforms, a portion of it was uploaded to YouTube in early February 2019, shortly after NBC News canceled Megyn Kelly Today in the wake of the morning host's on-air Halloween blackface defense. Now, it wasn't even a defense. Megyn Kelly on NBC, first of all, that was a disaster. Hiring Megyn Kelly was just one of the stupidest things they could have done. She said something like, people put makeup on Halloween all the time. Like, why is that offensive? And everybody was like, on the show, they were like, well, it is for these reasons. She goes, huh. And that was it. She was fired.
She went, huh. I got fired for it.
She asked why it was offensive. She's like, I don't understand. You know, people dress up all the time. Why is it offensive?
So she was simply asking.
She was just ignorant. She had no idea.
Yeah.
And
canceled.
How do you become unignorant though? You ask questions and get enlightened by people.
This is why I think you see things like walk away. Nobody wants to be associated with these people. They're unforgiving zealots.
Yep. Basic.
It's like man, it really is this like dystopian nightmare 1984 style thing. It's like, I don't know if you've ever seen that skit with, who's that guy from Portlandia?
Oh, with the guy who wears the blue paint?
Yeah.
No, blue paint.
I don't know his name, but like the main actor, you mean?
He's got that skit where he's a dictator and he's like,
in Parks and Rec?
Is that what it was? You know the skit?
I think so. He's from some South American country and he's like, your town is very small. We have much bigger towns. And you slice the chicken wrong, straight to jail.
Yeah.
You undercook the chicken, jail.
You
overcook the chicken, jail.
He goes, believe it or not, jail.
Yep.
Jail.
That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. That's exactly it. It's like you're walking down the street and you're eating an ice cream and a drip hits the ground and it's like slow motion as it falls and you're like, and then it splatters and all of a sudden all the Karens go.
You look down and you look up and you're surrounded by Karens and they're all like pointing at you.
And Jerry's. And the Jerry's huddling scared. And you're like, do something. And he's like, please.
I feel like Jerry is the weak-willed version of the male Karen.
Right.
But I don't know if it encompasses the full male Karen
I don't
identity.
think there is a male. What is a male Karen?
The guy from Central Park today. He started the Karening.
Yeah.
He was like, Karen, Karen. And she was like, oh, well, I'll raise you by Karening more.
Yeah.
And it was truly Karening intensifying. It was like exactly that. Can
we just call it like a Karenism? Can we make it like a functioning ideology? Well, we'll keep it to Jimmy Fallon for now because we're gonna jump into that for sure.
Yeah.
Because we got to talk about Robert Downey Jr.
Oh right.
Yeah, and like what is or isn't offensive.
Because every so often, some new young Karen, up and coming Karen, sees the movie or sees an old tweet and tweets it out like, how are we not canceling this person? And it's like, oh my gosh, seriously. It happened like a couple weeks ago. Robert Downey Jr. was trending. I'm like, oh great. What's going on?
Yeah,
and then
here it goes
sure
again.
enough, I'd say about 90% of the tweets were making fun of the original tweet. Like, look at this, another person that is a social justice
Right.
warrior trying to
Good.
bring Robert Downey Jr. down. It's like, wow.
It reminds me of South Park when they started the whole PC cycle for the latest seasons.
Okay.
There's like an old guy and he goes, "Oh, looks like political correctness is back again." And they're like, "How long do you think it'll last?" And he's like, "Oh, about 6-7 years." Because it comes. It was in the 90s. It comes and goes in waves.
Huh.
There's
Yeah.
like a moral authoritarian that comes. Moral authoritarianism. But what's really funny about these young people is it's like their first foray into society. It's like you're a little kid and you're in school and you're not really doing anything. You know, it's like you're playing with action figures, listening to, doing TikToks or whatever it is the kids these days are doing. And then you get older and now you're on the internet. And now you're 14, 15 and you're actually on Twitter with a bunch of 40-year-olds. And you're basically being told as your first entry, like into adulthood, all we do all day is form swarms to target people over perceived slights and destroy them and destroy their lives. And so they're like, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? So then all of a sudden they see Robert Downey Jr. and they're like, wait a minute. I thought we were supposed to go and swarm people and destroy them. What about this guy? And the older ones are like, whoa, not Robert. And you even got young people who are like fans of, Marvel who are like, oh man, what about this one, right? Here, let me pull up this story. Millennials called cancel. Wait, what is this? Millennials called cancel to Robert Downey Jr. after discovering his role in Tropic Thunder.
This is from May 2020. So this is exactly what I was talking about a couple weeks ago.
This is the one you saw. Now, I don't know what this source is, Play Crazy Game. So I just jumped back to Robert Downey Jr. actually opening up about his use of blackface in Tropic Thunder. It's from January. Apparently, it comes up all the time.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah. Look at this. Like, it's actually one of the best performances in... It's not even really... Here's the thing about blackface. When they used to do actual blackface back in the day, it was purposefully insightful and like meant to be exaggerated and derogatory. The way they would put the makeup on their mouths,
Right.
and they would wear gloves. It was like purposefully insulting and attacking and mocking. If somebody's impersonating someone else, all of a sudden that's become blackface. And now there was like some woman, I think like on The View or something, she put on bronzer in the 70s, and then people saw the photo and they're like, oh, that's blackface. It's like no matter, it's just becoming like, it's just not. But now it is, and it's you're gonna one day you're gonna put on you're gonna go tanning, and they're gonna be like, oh, you're putting on tan face or whatever.
Well, who did he play? He played Chris Tucker or which?
Chris Rock.
Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Did Chris Rock get upset? Did he care?
That didn't seem like he did.
It's like Chris Rock he's pretty famous. He's he's hilarious actually. He's many of his movies have made me laugh, and it's like so Jimmy Fallon was just pretending to be a great comedian. Can we say that instead? And it's like, no, it's racist. It's a racist thing.
I think people are bored, It's
Is that what it is? It's just boredom?
Yeah, I think so.
Social justice boredom.
Because think about what would be happening if, look.
That's like the worst.
I grew up skateboarding, right?
Okay.
I got no time for this.
Right.
We got to go out and get them kick flips. So we'd wake up in the morning and I'd be like, what's on the agenda for today? And we had the internet. We'd go on the internet. We didn't have cancel culture for the most part. But for me, it's like, I don't care if someone posted some dumb video. I'd be like, you see that guy who did that video thing? It's like, oh yeah, whatever. Hey man, you want to go to that stair set? Yeah. Remember that guy at the Cubs field who tried to catch that ball?
Yeah.
Man, like, you already know what I'm talking about. I didn't even describe it.
Of course I do. I mean, I'm from Chicago. It was like,
Right.
it was the catch or the lack of catch. He did catch it though, didn't he? I think he did catch it.
And he stopped Moises Alou, I think it was.
Yeah,
from
and then
catching it.
supposedly that was the reason they didn't go to the playoffs. It's like whatever.
The downside. Like, that was as close as I think we got to cancel culture. Like, but no one still cared. Like, he got threats. He got escorted out of the stadium because I was on Friendster at the time. Friendster.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Do you remember Friendster? Did you have a Friendster?
I did. I think I'm pretty sure I had a Friendster account. Yeah.
I had a live journal and a U journal, and then there was, what was that one with Hot or Not or something?
I have no idea.
All these sites were popping
What
up.
the heck?
And then the first like actual social media, I guess technically the journals were the first social media. Then we did Friendster, then MySpace, then Facebook.
Yeah.
And there were some weird ones in between, like little one-offs and stuff that kind of just disappeared. But none of us cared about what anyone else was posting. You'd go to someone's MySpace page, it'd be littered with trash and like weird HTML code and like music and glitter would be sprinkling everywhere.
Yeah.
And they would post offensive things and nobody would say anything. Like, no one cared. Like, it's like, where did all this come from?
Karens are bored.
Man.
Karens be on the internet now.
You know, thinking about it, this is interesting. When I was told when I was at Fusion, right? So for those who are not familiar, Fusion was a joint venture between ABC News and Univision. They said women share the most. So I asked them, like, why are we doing this kind of content? And I was told by somebody the angry women are the most likely to share stuff. Okay. So if you want to get content that gets the most traffic and the most views,
piss off a woman.
Yes.
So Karens perpetuate Karens.
That's what I was saying the other day about how they manipulated the algorithm and how it created social justice.
Yep.
Yeah, it's because they were specifically targeting middle-aged women. For sure. Like, literally, they said mothers who are angry share more than anyone else.
So in that sense, mainstream media has actually been telling Karens for years that they're correct.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then letting them loose.
Yep.
It's like, dude, you want to find some blame. Basically, BuzzFeed and Huffington Post and Vox have had like a giant, cage full of ravenous Karens, and the Karen barons were standing atop the stadium, and they pulled the rope or whatever, and it lifts up the gate, and all the Karens start running out, going, and then we're all running, going, oh God. And now they've unleashed all the Karens on everybody.
Karen Baron, I can't unhear that.
I love
Karen
that so
Baron.
much.
That's fantastic. I feel like it's like the highest order echelon of Karen. Like all Karens aspire to be the Karen Baron.
Yes. Well, kind of. It's the dark conspiracy behind the Karens. It's more like, I would say it's more akin to a mad scientist genetically engineering Karens in a lab.
Ooh.
Okay, I see.
So it's like you have a regular middle-aged mom, and she walks in, and the kids are playing in the back, and she's like, I'm going to make some sandwiches for you. What do you want, the peanut butter and jelly? Oh, don't you know that's not good for you to play there in the mud like that? And then she walks inside, and she's going, oh, boop, boop, and she's buttering the bread, and then her phone boops, and she goes, oh, what's this? Someone sending me a text message. And she opens it up, and it's some police brutality video from Now This, and then all of a sudden her hair just goes and like makes the shape, and she's like,
that's how they get the haircut, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep, the hair just like forms into that weird. What is that haircut even called?
It's like a short asymmetrical.
It's a Karen.
Yeah, it's a Karen look.
It's called a Karen.
It's a Karen.
Yeah.
Karen cut.
Yeah.
Karen cut.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then like her hair changes, and her son walks in. And he's like, "Mom, are you okay?" And she goes, and she like runs out, and she's like starts pointing at people. Put your dog on a leash. You made a joke 20 years ago.
Yep.
And then it's where we are today.
Yep.
And then they form online communities. And then they're sitting in their keyboards, they're bored. It's actually, but to be honest, like,
it's funny. We're totally talking about someone doing blackface 20 years ago, and we keep getting into the Karen conversation.
Because
I know.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's all kind of an amalgamation of the same thing that's been going on.
But I was reading a story about trolls, right?
They are Karens. They're all Karens.
There was a story about trolls, and like I think it was in the UK. They tracked down the trolls. They
okay.
Somebody sent a nasty comment to them, and so they like take a car and they go drive out to middle of nowhere, and they go to the guy's house and knock on the door, and they're like, "Are you Angus McLeod 53?"
Okay.
And the guy's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You send a message to me saying this, that, and this. Why would you do it?" And the guy's like, "Oh, I don't know. I just, I was on the internet, I guess." And it's like they don't really know.
Yeah.
So I remember reading this story. I don't know
Public shaming, basically.
Yeah.
But
literally.
it's like, why do people want to join a mob and jump around and do the same thing as everybody else? It's like a survival mechanism, I guess.
Because everyone wants to be a part of something. That's it. We're humans. That's what we do. And the way society's built, we get our own little cubicle boxes that we live in. We're by ourselves. A lot of people don't find others, aren't lucky to find someone else that makes them happy. So then they become miserable. They go on the internet, they meet with all the other miserable people, and then those people create the Karenism that we have today. That's it.
Man,
people want connection. They want to be connected. So me yelling at you and having anyone else go, yeah, I agree with that guy yelling at this dude. I'm going to yell at him too. And it's like, boom. All of a sudden,
I wonder?
Have a group.
I think it's like...
Or a tribe, really. Tribalism, right.
In the real world, we have Karen herd immunity. Because if you have a neighborhood, let's say you have like a community group or whatever, maybe it's a church or something, and you have 100 people. And for every 100 person, let's say there are, for every 50 people, you get a Karen.
Okay.
If you have 100 people and you have 2 Karens, when that one Karen steps out of line, the group isn't in line with the Karening. They push back and the Karen recoils and, oh, I don't want to offend the group, right?
Okay.
So you get one Karen in this, two Karens in a group of 100. One Karen speaks up and starts, basically complaining. But the people all around her are like, stop complaining, stop, you're rocking the boat. And so the Karen backs down.
Good point.
But when the Karens can go on the internet
and be surrounded by Karens,
and now there's no more herd immunity because they're surrounded by Karens.
Mm-hmm.
They, basically, by our powers combined, we become Captain Karen. And all of that Karenism is now unfettered and unrestrained, and just takes a concentrated force emerges. And then it's like, it reminds me of, that game, what is it called, like Katamari or whatever?
I don't know it.
It's like the little guy and he like rolls the ball or something. What was that game called? Katamari? Do you know what I'm talking
You
about?
referenced it before.
I don't. Sorry.
And
Yeah,
it like gathers junk
Yeah,
as
it
it goes.
keeps getting bigger and
yeah,
bigger.
I've never played it, but we've talked about it a long time
That's what
ago.
it is, man. The Karen starts the snowball,
Yep.
and people get sucked into it, and you got to resist. Because for me, I don't know, man. If I saw a large crowd of people and they were all waving pitchforks and screaming, I'd get away from them.
Yep.
Why would you want to be in that?
I don't know.
I was in at a Trump rally in San Jose, and this is where I had this viral video clip where a guy walks up behind a Trump supporter and smacks him in the back of the head with what's like a bag of something. They said it was a bag of rocks, and I remember being there. It was nuts. They were attacking people. This one dude who was clearly not a Trump supporter got punched in the mouth, like in the lower jaw, and his mouth's bleeding. And it's because he was in one of these mobs. No one knew what was going on. No one knew what they were doing or why they were doing it. All they knew is that when one person started running towards another person, the whole mob would go after him and start stomping and punching and beating the person. And that's what I see when I see these online things like, oh, Jimmy Fallon, oh no, it's like he's a joke. That's what it is,
Yep.
It's like nobody actually cares. They just don't. They're just there. I don't know, man. People have fun running with a crowd of people romping and stomping, I guess.
But he apologized. So he obviously, he admitted that he did something wrong. So he did something wrong.
Fire him then.
Yeah, sure. Jimmy Fallon, you messed up because I don't think you did anything wrong. But by you giving in to these Karens and saying, I'm sorry that I was a comedian and I thought, or actually, no, I did something that was funny 20 years ago. Here we are in 2020. You're apologizing for it. It's like, dude, that's on you.
You know what, man?
You let the Karens win.
Did you see Ellen make that joke about the lockdown where she was like, it feels like I'm in prison because everyone's wearing the same clothes?
Yeah.
Or she's like, I'm wearing the same clothes and everyone around me is gay or whatever.
Right. Mad people started to get upset. It's just like, okay.
I thought it was a dumb joke.
Sure. It was. It was a bad joke.
Joe Rogan thought it was hilarious.
I mean, because it was still a joke.
Right.
There's some people out there that like bad jokes.
And
or trolly jokes.
You know what, man? Comedy is not allowed. Just none of it.
That's what it seems like nowadays.
I'll put it this way. If you're Ricky Gervais, if you're Dave Chappelle, if you're Kevin Hart, if you're Joe Rogan, who am I missing? Who's a good one? Bill Burr? Bill Burr's pretty good.
He's great, yeah.
You're allowed to be a comedian. All of you guys. You have my permission. If you're Jimmy Fallon or anyone or Ellen or anybody else, actually, did Ellen apologize for that?
I have no idea.
If you're any one of these comedians who's going to apologize because you told a joke and like people got angry, you do not have my permission to be a comedian. I'm kidding. It's not like you need it as a joke, but I'm just saying, like, why be a comedian if you're like, let me tell a joke, and then a day later it's like you're fired.
Right.
Just stop. Just give up. That's your audience is insane. Yeah. They don't want jokes. They want. Like, how do you even tell these jokes?
How can you be a comedian with that thin of skin? Comedians say brutal things and they get ridiculed and they get laughed at and people, it's either you love them or you hate them. But the best comedians don't care about anyone that hates them and focus on the people that like them, and then that spreads, and then they get better at being a comedian, and then they get more well known. Like, look at Ricky Gervais. He says the craziest stuff to all. Like he what was it, the Oscars that he bombed them? He dropped bombs on all those people. He was dropping fire, and it was hilarious. And they were sweating. They were looking around. They're like, "Are we supposed to be really upset right now?
Yeah.
Are we letting this happen?" And he was like, "I don't care."
Yeah.
And that's it right there. He just doesn't care. And that's like, bravo, Ricky.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Seriously.
Yeah,
and
it's
he's a
like we
lefty
need
dude.
that. We need that in comedy right now. Jimmy Fallon, you are ruining it for more comedians. It's just one more domino falling down.
I mean, good riddance. Fire him. Fire the guy.
Yeah,
He doesn't
seriously.
deserve to have a job if he's scared. Like, I told a joke 20 years ago and now people are offended by it. Shut up.
But it's not even about Jimmy Fallon. It's him letting them win now.
Right.
So they're like, all Karens around the world are rejoicing right now. We canceled another one, everyone. Woo!
That's actually, it's a funny thing that he had to apologize. In the New York Times wrote Barry Weiss for the New York Times wrote an opinion piece did an interview with Joe Rogan about his sale to Spotify, and he basically said it was alluding to the fact that you can't be canceled if you work for yourself. Like, if you said something offensive, what are they going to do? Are they going to call me? Be like, Tim Adams said something offensive. I'm like, I know, he was sitting right next to me.
Right.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And so for him, Joe doesn't got to apologize for anything. It's his show.
Yep.
It's his room.
Yep.
But Jimmy works for somebody else.
Exactly.
And they're scared.
He wasn't apologizing. They probably called him up and said, apologize right now.
They probably have control of his Twitter account. And they were like,
Yeah, maybe.
Jimmy wakes up one day, looks at his phone, it's like, oh, I apologize. Huh? Before he's back to sleep.
Nah, I don't think it's that bad. I think he did it. I think he apologized.
Yeah, for sure. They
because
called him and said,
I read his. I mean, you could just see his personality. He wants to make everybody happy. That's
This is
just
the stupidest thing
That's
ever.
That's his personality. You know, he just, you can tell every time I've ever seen him talk about anyone, talk to anyone, he just wants to make everyone happy. So if anyone's offended by something he's done, that's why he's apologizing. I see it. I get it, Jimmy. You're a nice guy. That's what it is.
But these people don't actually care.
I know.
They don't care.
But Jimmy does, and that's why he's apologizing. But you're also giving them a victory and making it worse for the future of when they come after the next comedian who is doing something less offensive.
It kind of reminds me of a kid like walking into the mom's room and going, Mom, 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 Mom.
Like
and then when
Stewie.
she's finally like, what do you want? He goes, yeah, and he runs away. Yeah, like the Stewie
Yeah,
thing.
exactly
She
like
finally goes, what? What do you want? He goes, yeah, and he just runs off. Like he didn't want anything. He just wanted to get a rise out of you. So here's Jimmy like, I'm so sorry I did this. I made a joke 20 years ago. It was offensive. and these people are just sitting there like, oh, who do we attack now? It's like, I don't know. You find somebody. All right. How about Robert Downey Jr.? Been there, done that.
We tried. It didn't work.
Yeah. he
Stick,
doesn't
yeah,
care.
man.
We'll try every couple years, but it never works.
It's confusing to them. They're like, is that a target? Well, no, not Robert. We like Robert.
Why is that?
No, that's not even it. It's not even because people like Robert Downey Jr. It's because he was every single tweet. I mean, a lot of tweets were from black folks that were saying, we know it was making fun of white people in blackface.
Right. That was the joke.
That's what the
Literally
movie
joke.
was about. All of them were like, I didn't see one, African American person that was upset about it. Everyone was making fun of this young white girl. She was so like, it was vividly like a, I don't know, 20-year-old white person that was like pissed off. It's like, why are you mad? Who are you mad for?
Yeah.
Oh, your mother's a Karen, right?
Oh yeah.
You've inherited the Karen.
And that's another issue is they're teaching their kids. You see that video of the girl crying because someone flipped her off?
Yeah.
And her mom stormed out to
Karen.
go find the person. It was like,
helicopter
whoa.
Karens. Yeah,
You're
man.
teaching, that's what you're teaching your kids.
You know what's kind of
nice.
like paradoxical and kind of ironic is that a lot of these SJWs are upper class white people.
Yep.
And they're also the Karens.
Yep.
Like it's all Karening. So
Exactly.
it's like they actually prove themselves kind of right about white people. You know what I mean?
You're right. That's
It's like,
true.
It's
Yeah.
you.
It's terrible because it's like, as a white person, I'm offended at Karens.
Yeah.
Karens
Give it as a
offend
bad
me.
name.
They
Exactly.
offend me. Like
Yeah.
that they're racist. They're
Right.
like prolonging racism in this world. It's like, oh,
That's
stop.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify. And we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.